Hi, I'm Malinee. Welcome back. Today I brought you along on a project I'm doing for my sister. I'm going to be making 3 container gardens, but before I get started, I'm going to show you some of the things I brought in to complete the project. A bag of cactus mix, top dressing, and a variety of succulents. All right, I got my gloves on, let's get started. So right now I'm going to cut a bag of soil, and then I'm going to put some soil in the bottom. We're going to go about halfway first, and we could always adjust to the amount of soil we have too much. But let's add some soil to the container. I added a layer of soil, about almost a little bit less than half full, so I can adjust the amount of soil that I need and then put the plant in, and I can add more soil around it. Now I'm squeezing the pot and lean into the side so I can loosen the soil so I can get most of the root ball out without damaging the plant. And carefully pull it out. See? So you have to adjust and see how much soil you need first, and it looks about right. This is how much I want. I'm going to put the tallest plant in the back for height, and then I'm going to loosen the root ball so that I can use some of this existing soil and use that in this container without damaging the root. So it's a little bit more soil that I need, so I'm going to take some out. So you have the plant that we want for height, but then the back. Next thing I'm going to do is take the second plant out, and the same method, loosen the pot by hitting it against the side, and then pulling it out gently, and then you got to loosen the soil here. Now I'm loosening more soil, but I'm going to add that. See, it's a little bit too much soil, so I'm going to loosen the soil more so I can fit that into the container. Next, I'm going to adjust where I want this. I want this on the edge, but a little bit towards on this side, because I'm going to add a hanging succulent and put it on the edge of this pot so it will cascade. So let's remove the hanger. Same method is loosen the pot and then slowly pull out the succulent carefully. You notice that we have a lot of soil here. Same thing is to loosen the soil around the root ball and then add that to your container. I'm going to put this on the edge to allow it to cascade. So now I'm going to need a little more soil. Put this around the plant. So add a little more soil around the succulents to stabilize it. Now I'm going to add a few more succulents to make it a little more full, but at the same time, I would like it to give it more room to grow. But I'm going to add a few more succulents in the back here. As you see, it's a little more empty, so we're going to add some succulents in the back. And these are some of the really pretty assortments that are already made, and I'm going to just add that around this taller plant. This is pretty easy. This is already taken out, so I can just pull that out pretty easy without ruining the root ball. Okay, so this is going to be the front. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the back, and then these plants will get a little bit taller, but not as tall as this Aeonium species. want to do is you want to dig a little hole and add that around it. Okay, we have one more to add. And loosen the root ball carefully. Remove a little bit of soil. And then dig a little bit of a hole so I can add that in there. Now I'm going to add a little more soil in front of this container, or in front of this succulent, so I can stabilize the plants. And then I'm going to add a little bit of top dressing. So the last thing I'm going to use is top dressing. Top dressing basically helps stabilize the succulents once you plant it, and also it's decorative. So I'm going to add a little more of this beautiful coral sea top dressing around all the succulents. Just put a thin layer around it. So you just want to adjust the plants as you're putting the top dressing on, and that will help stabilize the succulents. And you want to press it down. You press the top dressing down as you're laying it on top of the soil. So you want to lay the top dressing down and pat it down as it secures all that soil on top, and it keeps the plant together so the soil doesn't come out and the plants don't come out. Now I'm going to use the second container, and I'm going to show you the same method of how to plant the succulents. So the second container is smaller. I'm going to make it very full using as many as pretty succulents I can put in, and it can last for about a year. So the first thing I'm going to do is, again, do the same method, is pat it on the side so I can loosen the soil. So now the next thing I'm going to do is add some soil to our container. I'm going to use this existing soil that's still good, and I have plenty of soil in the other bag. So here I put about halfway of soil in the container. Now if I place this plant in the container, it's about right, but I'm going to add a little bit more soil so that I can raise up the plant a little bit more so you can see it. So I'm going to go a little bit more than halfway. I'm going to put this plant in the center because my goal here is to make this container garden where you can see it from all directions. So I'm going to put this kalanchoe right as the center. That's my center plant. And I'm going to add some more soil around it. Now I'm going to leave a little bit more room for some other succulents that I brought over. I'm going to choose between all these little different succulents that I have. So this is an assortment of beautiful succulents that work really well together, and also with the center plant. So I'm going to again loosen the soil slightly so I can be able to plant this with the other succulent. Okay, so that's about right. Now you can actually split this a little bit because they're all separate plants, and you can add this around this main plant here. So I'm just going to start assembling and adding that around it. So you want to dig a little hole so you can fit these other succulents, and you can dig a little bit deeper because these succulents will get a little bit bigger, but it won't outgrow this main succulent, that's sort of the goal I wanted, was for this to be the main plant, and these to be the succulents that are going to complement. Again, very easy to split. Simply separate gently, and you can use that. Again, like I'm doing here, split it very gently. If it's too much or too full in one section, you can split it very gently and then place that around the other succulents. I'm going to dig a little hole here. So sometimes you have to adjust the soil. It might be a little bit too much soil when you put it in. Yeah, simply remove the extra soil and then add your succulents. What I'm planting here is a beautiful succulent, also known as a elephant bush. And it does get a little bit taller than these other succulents, but they're wonderful to have because you can actually propagate these and trim them inside the container, and you can have more of the same plant. Okay, so I managed just a little bit more soil. Now I'm still giving this arrangement plenty of room to grow so that you don't have to worry about transplanting it and trimming it so often, but it's still pretty and nice and full. Okay, so I had another succulent here. I don't want to use it. It's obviously too big for this container, and I can use it for another arrangement. So now I'm going to add my top dressing. I'm going to use the same top dressing I used before, called Coral Sea. A very nice color that complements this beautiful maroon container. So you simply add more rocks around it, and that helps stabilizes it and makes it very pretty. So for my final container, I'm going to use this Aeonium Green Beauty as my center, and for these other succulents, I'm going to use it to fill out around this main plant. I don't know if I'm going to use this Echeveria, but we'll see in the end. So what I'm going to do first is clean out some of the dried leaves before I plant it. So I simply just break those off. The ones that are on the bottom, and new growth will appear. So I'm going to add a little bit of soil in, about halfway. Again, you can always adjust, take a little bit more out if you feel like you have too much. Do the same method. This is pretty easy. I can tell I don't really need to bang the pot. I'm going to slowly pull it out. I'm going to loosen the root ball again. Now, this is going to be my center. I'm going to kind of put it a little bit to the back, but not too far out. This is going to be the tallest growing succulent in this container, and then I'm going to add the other succulents to fill out. So let's add some soil. So press it down while you're planting the succulent. Just kind of press the soil around it so it's secure. Now my other succulents I'm going to put around it and a little bit to the bag. Okay. So again, this is an assortment of succulents. They're all fully rooted. I'm going to separate it so I can place where I want it to. You want to dig a little hole and then put your succulents around it. This already is a nice little arrangement, so I'm going to keep it together. But I'm going to plant it next to this other succulent, and then it will fill out very nicely. So, if you see, I might have room for the other plant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that in the center. So I'm going to loosen this beautiful Echeverry Pearl von Nunenberg. And that will be a nice succulent in the center here. That will fill out and make it look more full. Just keep pressing the soil down and adjusting the plants that you need to. And a little more soil. So to make it more full, I'm going to add this last succulent and put that on the back here to make it more full, and it will fill out, but it won't outgrow this main plant. So again, I'm going to loosen the soil very carefully. There's still a lot of root here, but a lot of soil left, so I'm going to have to loosen the soil to make it be able to fit in this container. But still there's a lot of root left here. So I'm going to just dig a little hole. And let's add that in the back here. So you just kind of press it down after you plant it so that the soil is nice and secure and the plants are nice and stable. And the last thing I'm going to do is add our top dressing. Again, we're using coral seed to match all the pots. A little bit more rock in the back here. Press down the top dressing. So I want to talk to you about the care for these succulent container gardens. I pick all these succulents because they are compatible in terms of lighting and watering. Ideally, they do very well where it gets partial sun. That means half sun, half shade. They do better outside, where they get enough airflow and enough sunlight. Watering is about once a week, and you water until it's fully drained through the hole. And you can keep these succulents in these containers roughly about 1 to almost 2 years, and then you can trim them inside the container, or you can remove the plants and plant them in a larger container. Well, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. See you again soon.